One Zambia, One Nation. Good evening and welcome to the news. I'm Ingutu Himanja with the sign language interpreter, Samson Mwale. Stories making headlines. President Edgar Lungu vows that he will not allow lawlessness in the country. The matter in which the opposition UPND has petitioned the re-election of President Edgar Lungu has again been adjourned. Clerk of the National Assembly, Doris Mwinga, congratulates members of Parliament who emerged victorious in the August 11 polls. In sports, the 2015 Barclays Cup defending champions Green Buffaloes start their title defense against Power Dynamos Football Club. And now the news in detail. President Edgar Lungu has vowed that he will not allow lawlessness in the country. President Lungu says he is aware of a political scheme to instill fear and bring about anarchy in the country. Speaking when he toured Katambalala Market in Lusaka's Bauleni compound that has been gutted, President Lungu said he is convinced that the move to burn the market is politically motivated. President Lungu says he will allow the law enforcement agencies to investigate the matter fully. Ingutu Mwanza reports.
These are flames from the fire that destroyed the livelihood of men marketeers at Katambalala Market in Lusaka's Bauleni compound.
Ifo wale tuwe makamaka fwe pamaka pawato wale tuwe timu nga chakuti ngamwapasa tukamochera amashopu nishibale pita mbwenzi bale so bale fa batupangira so kai twale support echipani chesu ifwe bona amakafiri akati natwikala bonsa ndifete so tabale umfa bwino so bale abatupangira so sikanefyo bale fire sukafya chitika.
Others affected have appealed for help to restart their businesses.
Ngati ni pati amene chitaso itumvereko chifundo mwanjini mambale abantu vimadishi vamene vaonongeka umuni vambiri maningi ola venangu se vambiri tilibe manyumba yatu wonse tilipira chema ni malenzi maona tinatanga ndrama zaloni zabene zamene tigulisa tipezeko kandama tisungiremo bana manje vintu vaonongeka manje tizasunga bwanji bana tivatimvereko chifundo mwanjini ni One Zambia One Nation.
So pano nilera wana masiye nilera family pa nyumba nilibena poyambira pano.
And the report of this incident has touched President Edgar Lungu, prompting him to visit the site. Petrol bombs found at the scene are now in the custody of police in the area. President Lungu is saddened by this.
Because this is evidence of a planned scheme to bring about anarchy in our country and make it fearsome for people to go about their normal business. I think we sit down as government and reflect on what measures to take. Because clearly it's a planned effort to instill fear amongst the public, but we will not allow that. It is obvious, it's politically motivated. We were talking about Armageddon and other things. We will see what will happen after the election. This is coming to pass, but as government we will not sit back idle. We will find a solution to this. But let me just take advantage and assure the Zambian people that we will get to the bottom of this and the wrongdoers, the culprits will be brought to book.
The president has further called on opposition UPND leader Hakainde Hichilema to openly condemn political violence across the country.
Let him go to Namwala, stop his supporters, tell his supporters to stop it. Tell him to stop with these people who are bringing anarchy. Then I can meet him. I won't see him. I have no time to see him. Because I'll be succumbing to violence. I'll be succumbing to terrorism. This is how terrorism comes about. If he wants to see me, let him do the right thing. The right thing is to go to his supporters and tell them, look, the matter is in court, the courts will adjudicate, will let you know afterwards. But to stay with me, that's intimidating me. And I'm not intimidated. I can tell you, I won't see him, but we'll get the root of the violence and we'll deal with it. He's going to court, let the courts adjudicate. But if he wants to see me, let him call for peace. Let him go there. His supporters, his deputy, GBM, will call him, let him go there and tell the people that we want peace. Only then can we talk to each other.
Earlier in the day, Lusaka Central Constituency Member of Parliament Margaret Manakatwe expressed sadness when she visited the site, promising to construct a modern market.
I'm trying to understand within me what would drive anyone who is a leader to stop people from making a little money. And it's actually quite shocking. I'm shocked as I'm standing here today and I'm looking at people that have worked so hard to do little to earn money for that day. And somebody comes and burns an area where goods are stocked for the night, for the following day's trade. I'm shocked. I'm in shock.
The president has since assured citizens that he'll curb lawlessness in the country. Ingutu Mwanza, ZNBC News, Lusaka.
And PF Secretary General Davis Chama has echoed President Lungu's decision not to meet the UPND leader over the violence obtaining in some parts of the country. PF Secretary General Davis Chama has since challenged the UPND leadership to order their cadres to stop the post-election violence mostly happening in the strongholds. Over 140 people have been displaced in Namwala district by UPND cadres. Mr. Chama has described the call for a meeting as a ploy to mislead the international community and portray the UPND as a peace-loving party when not. He says President Lungu has already made several pleas to end political violence, which Mr. Hichilema must emulate. Mr. Chama also says efforts to meet President Lungu may be attempts to push for a government of national unity. He said this at a media briefing in Lusaka today.
This is a window dressing. Why go to the media to demand to meet President Lungu? And yet you know the place where you can find President Lungu. If he has difficulties to find President Lungu, he can find me. They know where our secretariat is. There are a lot of our members who can help him find President Lungu if he's sincere. So it's part of the window dressing. Like they were delaying tactics during the announcement of the results. They want to pray to the international community, to the media houses, that they are more sincere, but in actual fact, they are the ones who were even delaying the elections and the announcements of the results. But behind the scene, they were accusing the Electoral Commission of Zambia in order to embarrass the Electoral Commission of Zambia, that the Electoral Commission of Zambia are trying to collude with PF to rig the elections, which is very, very unfortunate.
Chikwato fishing camp in Namwala district has been deserted after its inhabitants were attacked by UPND cadres following President Edgar Lungu's re-election. And the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, DMMU, on Sunday rescued 86 people displaced from the camp who were found at the banks of Kafiwe River, where they spent 4 days without food. Brian Mwale reports.
It's the only greeting that one gets at Chikwato fishing camp on the banks of the Kafiwe River in Namwala district of Southern Province. Only 2 dogs are residents here, as the camp has been deserted after many of its inhabitants, who come from predominantly fishing provinces, were attacked by UPND cadres after President Edgar Lungu was declared winner in the just ended elections. Houses have been burnt and looted. Government, through the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, DMMU, has visited the place in a bid to help the victims.
We got about 24 households, a total number of 86 people. These people are the ones that ran away from here to go and hide on the other side of the river. So where we found them, they were just by the banks of the river, waiting and sitting in sun, eating nothing. They stayed there for 3 days. In fact, the 4th day, that's the day we got them from there. Those are not the only ones. There are several others, like if you go northwards, there are several others that have scampered in that direction and have gone to a place called Chilenda.
The DMMU, working alongside the Zambia Red Cross Society, is assessing the situation. And within minutes of being here, some victims who sought refuge in a nearby village came forth. 32-year-old Gilbert Mwala, a fisherman from Western Province, who settled here with his parents at the age of 7, is one of them. He cannot stand the attacks and wants to go back home.
Anabwera mudara wina ngusowa chibemba Jackson ni mpongozi watu. Ukubagirini mabamenya kani ya PF. So ndabati muri ba PF namwe Asoma manje babura umenyayo imwe mishokira. Songa timuni got na gota bya tamangani. Ine plani yanga this year. Ngati napiza transport nifuna burira mo kwatu western. Na upanyitama inachitika wona. Nina monta baningi.
This camp is also home for Greenwell Mwale, a fisherman and PF official currently nursing multiple wounds at Namwala District Hospital, sustained after being stabbed with a fishing spear and hit in the face with a concrete block. DMMU Southern Province Regional Coordinator Adrian Peteli says government is looking at helping those that may still be in hiding.
The first bunch that's at the camp, those that came on their own, they were running for safety. They came from Itapa, they came from Mala, they came from Muchilala, they came from Mungavu, they came from Mbuzu. So those are the ones who came first. So we are appealing to all headmen, we are appealing to the community, we are appealing to even NGOs that work in these areas that may know or might come across these are hiding. We want them to come to a safe place and then we'll be able to assist them.
With this prevailing scenario, Chikwato Fishing Camp has now been deserted as perpetrators of the attacks are reported hiding in the bush armed, while those who were displaced, mainly people who had come from other provinces to come and fish here and are now being sheltered at Namwala Secondary School, have no plans of coming back here as they're appealing to government to help them get back to their native provinces. Brian Mwale, ZNBC News, Namwala.
Well, meanwhile, PF member of the Central Committee, Siachaye Madiankuku, has called on the opposition UPND in Southern Province to stop attacking PF members in the region. Mr. Madiankuku says acts of violence are likely to displace more people. He has also appealed to the police command to increase vigilance in selected parts of the country. Mr. Madiankuku says it is also an obligation of political leaders to promote peace. He was speaking to ZNBC News in a walk-in interview in Lusaka today.
I would like to call upon members of the opposition in the Southern Province to stop attacking our people. Since the elections, a number of our people have been attacked, more especially in Choma and Monze districts, as well as Mazabuka. We have been calling for restraint for some time now. Unfortunately, this has not been heeded to. As I'm speaking to you now, some of our members, particularly those who had contested elections in different positions, have actually run away from their homes.
The matter in which the opposition UPND has petitioned the re-election of President Edgar Lungu has been adjourned to tomorrow. This is because the petitioners have not served the lawyers representing President Lungu documents for a preliminary application to have the election materials and ballot papers of the August 11 general election in the custody of the court. Meanwhile, the Constitutional Court has joined the Attorney General to the petition that has been filed by UPND leader Hakainde Hichilema in the Constitutional Court. The Attorney General argued that he should be joined to the petition because Mr. Hichilema has made allegations against the public media, Zambia Air Force and Zambia Police, which are state institutions. This is according to the affidavit in support of the ex parte summons for an order to join the Attorney General to the proceedings. The summons have been filed by Chief State Advocate in the Attorney General's chambers, Josie Machela. In this matter, the respondents are being represented by Professor Patrick Mvunga, Eric Sulwamba, Sakwiba Sikota, Bonaventure Mutale, and Lubinda Linyama, among others. The petitioners' lawyers are Martha Moshipe, Jack Mwimbu, Gilbert Piri, and Keith Mwemba, among other lawyers. Yesterday, the petitioners filed a preliminary application for the ballot papers and other election materials to be in the custody of the court. Now, a 35-year-old Lusaka resident has called for the removal of Constitutional Court Judge Enoch Mulembe, citing allegations of gross misconduct and incompetence. Robert Chabinga has alleged that Justice Mulembe failed to recuse himself in a matter where former Director of Public Prosecutions, Mutembo Nchito, has challenged his removal. Mr. Chabinga says Justice Mulembe should have recused himself in the matter, as Mr. Nchito is allegedly his close friend and ally. He says such gross misconduct is pursuant to Articles 143 and 144 of the amended Republican Constitution. Mr. Chabinga has also accused Justice Mulembe of incompetence for granting an ex parte stay in favor of Mr. Nchito. He has contended that under Section 16 of the State Proceedings Act, Chapter 71, no stay can be issued against the state. This is according to a complaint letter dated August 23, 2016, addressed to the Secretary of the Judicial Complaints Commission. The complaint letter has been copied to the head of state, the Chief Justice, President of the Constitutional Court, Deputy President of the Constitutional Court, and Justice Enoch Mulembe. We take our first commercial break. We'll have more news coming up right after this break. Stay with us. You're watching ZNBC News. Former Miss Zambia chairperson Kelly's Kaunda has urged Movie TV, Komboni and Iteji radio stations to seek a negotiated settlement with the Independent Broadcasting Authority (IBA) following the suspension of their broadcasting licenses. Mr. Kaunda, a media consultant, says the three stations must resist the temptation of playing to the gallery over the matter. He says messages of solidarity the stations are receiving may be psychologically soothing, but may not be helpful in a speedy resolution of their cases. Mr. Kaunda said this in a statement released to ZNBC News in Lusaka today. He has noted that public comments on the action taken by IBA are not helping the situation, and most of them are pure political statements that is simply inflaming an environment that can be managed differently. Mr. Kaunda feels members of the public must resist the temptation to talk about every issue and passing judgment, even when their knowledge of the subject consists of bits and pieces. He has observed that it took several months of expert observation on the part of the IBA to emerge with the charges leveled against Movie TV, Komboni and Iteji radio stations. Yesterday, the IBA suspended broadcasting licenses for Movie TV, Komboni and Iteji radio stations for unprofessional conduct. IBA board chairperson Justin Motale announced this at a media briefing, saying the three broadcasting stations have conducted themselves in a manner which poses a risk to national peace and stability. Clerk of the National Assembly Doris Mwenga has congratulated members of Parliament who emerged victorious in the August 11 polls. And Mrs. Mwenga says an official notice for newly elected members of Parliament to report to the National Assembly will be issued in due course. This is according to a statement released to ZNBC News by Mrs. Mwenga today. Zambia went to the polls on August 11, 2016 to elect the Republican president, members of Parliament, mayors, and councillors. We'll break for more commercials. We'll be back just after this message from our sponsors. On health news, the Ministry of Health embarks on a campaign to vaccinate 6.9 million children with the measles rubella vaccine. Join us after this message.
The Zambia Medicines Regulatory Authority, ZAMRA, a statutory body which was created by an Act of Parliament, has the responsibility of regulating the pharmaceutical industry in Zambia.
Who is ZAMRA? Can you imagine walking into a storm without your umbrella? Think of ZAMRA as your umbrella in the medicine distribution chain. Its mandate includes regulating and licensing of manufacturers, wholesalers, importers, and exporters of medicines and allied substances for both human and animal consumption, registration of pharmacies, agro-vet shops, and health shops, registration and testing of all medicines and allied substances circulating on the Zambian market to assure compliance to set standards, safety monitoring of medicines and allied substances in Zambia and any related problem. The authority ensures correct disposal of unwanted medicines and allied substances to avoid their reuse.
This message is brought to you by the Zambia Medicines Regulatory Authority, ZAMRA, regulating medicines for public health protection.
The Ministry of Health has embarked on a campaign to vaccinate 6.9 million children with the measles rubella vaccine. The campaign will cost the Ministry of Health $6 million United States dollars. Ministry of Health Director for Child Health and Nutrition, Angel Mwiche, says the ministry targets to vaccinate 95% of children between 9 months to 15 years. This will be conducted between 19th and 24th September 2016. Dr. Mwiche says measles rubella is a mild form of measles that was discovered in Zambia 4 years ago. He says the symptoms of measles rubella are rash and a low-grade fever. And Dr. Mwiche says measles rubella, which is also known as Germany measles, can cause cataracts and affect brain development in children. Dr. Mwiche has since called on parents and guardians to take their children for measles rubella vaccination from 19th to 24th September 2016. ZNBC staffer Masauso Mkwayaya reports that Dr. Mwiche said this in a presentation to the media at a Ministry of Health media orientation workshop on the measles rubella vaccine. That's all we could accommodate on our segment tonight. Join us next week for more health news.
Regulatory Authority ZAMRA, a statutory body which was created by an act of parliament, has the responsibility of regulating the pharmaceutical industry in Zambia.
Who is ZAMRA? Can you imagine walking into a storm without your umbrella? Think of ZAMRA as your umbrella in the medicine distribution chain. Its mandate includes regulating and licensing of manufacturers, wholesalers, importers, and exporters of medicines and allied substances for both human and animal consumption, registration of pharmacies, agro-vet shops, and health shops, registration and testing of all medicines and allied substances circulating on the Zambian market to assure compliance to set standards, safety monitoring of medicines and allied substances in Zambia and any related problem. The authority ensures correct disposal of unwanted medicines and allied substances to avoid their reuse.
This message is brought to you by the Zambia Medicines Regulatory Authority. ZAMRA, regulating medicines for public health protection.
We'll take our commercial break, but just after that, we'll have education news, so stay with us. On the education segment, Livingston Network of Organizations of Persons with Disability appeals to the government to put in place a policy that will enable disabled children access free education. Details after this message. Now, Livingston Network of Organizations of Persons with Disability Coordinator George Mizinga has appealed to the government to put in place a policy that will enable disabled children access free education. Mr. Mizinga has told ZNBC News in Livingston that most children with disabilities are on the streets because their parents are unable to take them to school due to cost implications. Details in this report.
This is Bernard Chikua at the Zambia Agents for Persons with Disabilities Linda Farm in Livingstone. Mr. Chikua depends entirely on the produce at this farm to meet his daily needs. Unfortunately, just last night, elephants raided the farm and destroyed vegetables at the farm. These are some of the challenges the disabled face on a daily basis.
We have some that need employment. For example, we have the deaf, some deafs who have completed school, but of course they've never gone further in tertiary education. And then we have a number of persons who are able to acquire skills, and mostly it's on the skills part, so that they improve their livelihood.
Waya ya malaiti panunga bashingulushya waya ino babika mu malaiti nsofu limbukuti shati na pantu shamono olubuto.
Livingston Network of Organizations of Persons with Disability Coordinator George Mizinga wants free education for people living with disabilities.
So there's a need that they look at, and not only looking into the adjustment of the social care transfer, but also getting it in time, and also to ensure that their promise to ensure that children with special needs are educated for free. That should be fulfilled, because many are just staying in compounds because parents cannot afford to raise money.
Meanwhile, the disabled are saddened by the failed referendum.
For sure, it had the main rights that were favoring persons living with disabilities. But then the reaction from our colleagues, persons living with disabilities, has been that there wasn't enough sensitization.
Lelo, utulatwine twafumako tulia, wakaiweke shepo, ukutila referendum, ikakwatu bulondoloshi. Wakapitemo, natuma buku, mapepa, newspaper, ukutila kutuakanya, chilo umuntu no umuntu ale sambilila, pantu, china lelo line tachiponene, chilebomba bali obuteko upitemo mukuwa chibili winaka.
The referendum on the Bill of Rights failed to go through because the threshold of 50% participation by those above 18 years was not reached. Mombeha Mobola, ZNBC News in Livingstone.
That's all our segment could accommodate tonight. Join us on Thursday for more education news. In sports, the 2015 Barclays Cup defending champions Green Buffaloes Football Club start their title defense of the 1,450,000 kwacha reach competition against Power Dynamos Football Club in September. This follows the draws made today that have also seen Zanaco taking on Kabwe Warriors, while Nkana and Zesco will play the winners of the first and second playoffs. In the first playoffs, Kabwe Youths Football Academy will play Zesco Victoria Foes, and Nampundwe Football Club will take on Konkola Blades. The draws were conducted in Lusaka today in the presence of Football Association of Zambia President Andrew Kamanga, ZNBC Sales and Marketing Director Peter Shula, and football team representatives. And Kamanga said the Barclays Cup will be exciting this year as it has teams from lower divisions. Meanwhile, Shula, who represented ZNBC Director General Richard Mwanza, said all games will be aired live by the national broadcaster. He said this is because the national broadcaster is dedicated to promoting local football.
Zesco Victoria Falls Football Club. We are delighted to continue with this growing tradition of the championship, which this year marks the 9th edition of it being held. This growing relationship is a clear demonstration of the strong bonds of partnership between Barclays Bank and Zambian football. A strong relationship with the corporate world remains one of the pillars of our demonstration and the cornerstone of a strong league which will easily translate into a stronger national team and success for the Chipolopolo.
As a broadcaster, the Barclays Cup resonates well with our desire for local content. The millions of Zambians that access the ZNBC TV and radio signals desire to see their local footballers on our screens. It's for this reason that ZNBC pursues and looks at partnerships and collaborations as part of our corporate strategy. And so we are very proud to associate with this tournament, or Barclays. ZNBC is happy to come on board as a broadcast partner this year. Allow me on behalf of the Director General to confirm that ZNBC shall be on board as a broadcast partner to the Barclays Bank tournament.
To end the main news, a recap of the stories making headlines. President Edgar Lungu has vowed that he will not allow lawlessness in the country. The matter in which the opposition UPND has petitioned the re-election of President Edgar Lungu has again been adjourned to tomorrow. Clerk of the National Assembly, Doris Mwenga, has congratulated members of Parliament who emerged victorious in the August 11 polls. In sports, the 2015 Barclays Cup defending champions Green Buffaloes Football Club start their title defense against Power Dynamos Football Club in September. That's the news at 19. We'll be back with more news at 22 hours on this very channel. See you then.